Is everyone good? Oh, I'm sorry about C#. I'll tell later why, okay? Well, I hope, right, like, it's good to have this kind of conference, right, to meet people. And actually today I'm going to show you something that I was not expert. I was actually researching, and actually I found some bug in the Node.js core, and it was like, no, it's not a bug. It's me doing something wrong. So I'm going to go through this whole process, okay? So first of all of this presentation is already online, so you should follow me on Twitter. I'm going to publish there, and we can chat later as well. If you can, please take pictures, mention the event, mention myself. This helps us a lot with the work we've been doing. All right? So first of all, I was just like you, attending some events. I actually, you know, right, Brazil, don't speak English much as well. So I was there struggling a lot to learn English, but I was with a lot of people on the open source and helping on the Node.js core and some collaborators. And there were some activities there to help you to get your first commit there. So collaborators were just giving you some tasks, easy tasks. I'm going to show you the first one, but you know, right, there are a lot of environment things and other kind of stuff that you might do a part of the whole thing. So on this workshop, you know, I'm not a good photographer, right? But this image means a lot for me. Well, this was actually what the task I got. It was just to switch the test, right? You can see it was very simple, but for me it meant a lot because I should follow the Node.js style guide. I actually should make the environment work and a lot of other stuff. Well, after struggling a lot with this code, I finally got this email. And it was like, your name is now on the Node.js core. I was like, oh my God, I'm going to shout to my mom now. So this was really nice. And for everyone who finished it, they gave a pin. So this pin for me was like, oh my God, this is so nice. Well, this was like 2018, and I was, since then, trying to find something nice to work on the Node.js core, but I just gave up because there were not much information on the internet for me. I was really struggling a lot. Well, but I'm telling to you now about the bug I found. I think you're going to relate that. You know when you are sure that you are making something like you've done like 10 times, and you're like, no, I don't need Google. I know how to do this. And actually, it wasn't working. Like, I had no idea what's working. And actually, it was a bug. It finally was a bug, and I was able to try finding it. Well, let me introduce you first what was the idea, and then I walk through the problem. Well, first of all, the problem was using the child process. First of all, how many of you are backend developers? All right, you front-end developers who use Jest, NPM, YArgs were all affected by the same bug, but I'm going to go through later. Well, in the Node.js core, you can use child processes to spin up other processes. You can actually run parallel tasks and communicate with other programs. Basic, this is the goal. To make this work, you should have two files. The first one is the child, right? The task that is going to execute in background. So here, I'm just listening for a message, and I'm just sending a message right away. Make sure that you remember the logs. On the child, I have message received on child. And here in the parent, there are a lot of code, right? But I'm just focused on this part. All of this code is ECMAScript. So the whole bug is on ECMAScript, not common.js. But here, I'm just spinning up this file, this program. I'm listening to the message, and I'm just sending the message to the child. So the child is receiving a message, and the parent is sending and receiving at the same time. All right? So when I tried to run this code, I was preparing the classes, and see, I'm just receiving the message on the parent. The child didn't receive anything. I was like, oh my God, no, it's not possible. What's going on here? I've done this code a lot. But then I was like, what if I do some like workaround? I put a set time out there, and I was waiting, and then I received the message. So I figured, maybe the child process is not ready yet to receive this message. So maybe this is a bug. But I was like, no, maybe it's just me doing some mistake, as always, right? Friday code, after 6 p.m., it's hard to think. Well, the way I thought how it was a bug and how this bug actually affected all of you here. When I started researching, I found a lot of issues open on Jest, on Yards, and a lot of other packages. And people from like maintainers saying, no, this is not our fault. It's Node.js. They should fix it on the Node.js side. And I was like, oh my God, no one has fixed this yet. So maybe I should like try fixing it, but I had no idea. So the whole point of this talk is about community, right? It's not about being specialist and nothing. Like I've had help a lot from these two people. Anna is like one of the best persons ever. She actually wrote a lot of popular modules on the Node.js core, like worker threads, C++, crazy stuff, I would say, right? And Rich is one of people of the Node.js technical steering committee who helps like choosing what is going on to the Node.js with the, I would say, the bureaucratic part, right? So this, it's hard. So I start talking to each other about my ideas. And actually, my idea was kind of introducing a new event. So when the child process is ready to receive a message, I would send it right away. I was like, well, it makes sense in my mind. However, I was talking to Anna, and she said, I have another idea. Maybe you should just enqueue the message until you have some child available, right? I was like, oh, this would make more sense. Let me go through this. Now the problem was, I have the main process, and I have, between the process, you have some channel hub, right? Some messages going back and forth. I was trying to send a message, but the child process wasn't ready yet. So Anna's idea was, I would create like an in-memory database, some object there, that is gonna store all those messages, and when we had the child ready, then this communication hub will get all the messages, clean the message and send to the child processes. And then when I try to send, if the child process is ready, it was okay. I was like, oh, this is so much better than I thought, but it's good to know, right? So first of all, I was like, okay, I want some feedback, and I actually wanna help implementing this, right? So I wrote the whole issue there, but notice only the first line. The first line said, I would like to help fixing this bug. You know, there are a lot of contributors there that might fix this bug in like 2 minutes, 30 minutes, right? But I really like to go through and to learn more how I could do this. So the community helped a lot, and a lot of people said, yeah, this is a bug, go forward and try fixing this bug. Well, the first thing was to compile Node.js. Like, have you ever tried to compile Node.js? It's like my machine back then wasn't that good. So it took like 2 hours to compile, and every time I was changing some code, it must be compiled again. I was like, no, I'm doing something wrong here. This shouldn't be that hard. So reading the docs, right? We should do this, read more often. I found some ideas to actually read our JS code from our path, right? From our directory. So I waited for the whole hour. I'll go to some lunch, and then it compiled. After this compilation, I actually got to the file, like the child process. I wrote some code there, and I actually executed the Node.js that the compilation process just made it. I was like, oh, it's working. Then I changed again. I was like, oh, very nice. Now I'm a hacker, man, right? Oh, very nice. Now I'm able to try working. Now I can print it out. I can debug it. And I can test what's going on, right? It's not that difficult anymore. Well, so I start coding a lot, trying to get some answers. I try like reaching Anna a lot. I think I annoyed her a lot too, but she didn't complain, so it was nice. Well, the first thing, I got to the Node.js process file, and I was like looking for the 2,000 lines of code, and then I found these two messages, two functions, right? We have handle message and emit. So the goal was, if there's no listening, we just wait, save in a list, and then we keep sending. So I said, great, here's the place I'm going to start. Notice that I didn't write any code, any test yet, right? I was just trying to prove my concept back then, and then I would start creating the test. But look, I created the list, very straightforward. I was actually trying to listen how many listeners I had waiting for messages. If there is no listeners there, or if it's like an internal message, I just figure that Node.js talks to himself for some way. He's like crazy, but that's fine. And then if there's no one asking for messages, I would just add to this function and make it work anyway. Well, look at the difference, right? Before, one line, after this whole new logic code. Well, the next step is actually when I have someone trying to listen, right? When I have a new listener, I will actually get those messages, see if there is any pending message, and then I'll call that emit function, and then I will clear all the messages. Notice that there are a lot of ugly code here, like for many people, but this was just the first version, right? Then I'm gonna refactor and do this better. But back then it was like, I want to make this work. My idea must work. My proof of concept should work here. All right. Well, after this, I came back to our previous example. So now I have exactly the same file that I had there. And then I tried working this, and then I got this message. I was like, oh my God, now it worked. Now it worked. Now I can go through, try fixing, submitting the PR. Finally, I did something that affected a lot of people, right? So this is really nice. So then I write the test. So here the test, I'm doing everything in a single file. It's a single file application. Here I just get by the arguments. So if there's no argument, I know that I will call the parent, right? So I'm just spin up a process, send a message, and actually I'm waiting for this message. Once I have it, I will just compare if the message I sent was the same I received. Not that hard back then. And then here on the else, I will just wait for the message and send it back, all right? The problem was the child wasn't receiving in time. Look, that there's no set timeout anymore, right? Oh, very nice. All right, so I run all of the Node.js test suite, and I break the Node.js. Everything will stop working. Was like, oh my God, no, please, what I'm gonna do now? I break all their tests, right? What was working in the Node.js. But you know, when we work in any kind of application, we feel like, oh, it's too complex. But most of the problems we have, we fix with if, right? I was just checking if the property was there. If it was, just keep going. Then I ran my test again, my proof of concepts. I ran the test that was failing and the whole test suite again. And then 100%, OK. So I got through on the docs, and I was like, what is the next step? But the code is working, so let's cheer up, let's have some beer, right? Now, some amazing. Well, I came back, and I had to run some linting, right, to check if my style guide was following what Node.js cares. And, I mean, it wasn't that good, right? 45 errors for people who was behind. So I had to fix one by one. So I should have configured my VS Code, but that's fine. It worked. And finally, I opened the request following the docs. It's very straightforward. You write a title, you have a description, and actually you link all the references you had to make this PR. All right, now was the worst part, right? You submit and you have the syndrome, right? Like, oh my God, I'm not good enough. My code is horrible. But it's still, the testing was passing. So I was like, oh man, I mean, they won't close my PR because it's working, right? It's ugly, but it's working. Well, I got a lot of feedback, and I think this is the main point of working for free on the open source. You learn a lot of stuff that you might not have seen working with APIs or CRUD applications, right? In this case, I was creating a public field, and I just said, well, you could use symbols to create private fields. I was like, oh yeah, what symbols are, right? But yeah, it was really nice. Actually, he was saying that I shouldn't rely on the array iterator. Array iterator is a global object that someone can mutate and break the whole Node.js. So I couldn't use the spread operator, the 3 dots right there, And I had to use reflect apply, which is like a utilitarian from utils on the Node.js to make the same thing. Well, and for me, the most interesting one was James Nels saying, well, this is a performance issue. You're going to make the Node.js very slow because of this. I didn't really know. I just changed the for loop from outside the next tick to inside the next tick. I was like, very nice. Then this is kind of, I think Ellie said on his talk, in her talk, like, we feel like when people are questioning, like they are the whole, like the owner of the truth, right? But sometimes they're not, right? Sometimes they're just asking you. Anna just said, okay. James now said, okay, but now you have another problem. You have the race condition. It could happen that you're trying to read a message that is not even on the Node.js yet, and you have like undefined is not a function. Oh, yeah, the classic undefined is not a function. All right, and then I got this message again. You are now on a version of the Node.js. And I was like, this is so amazing. My PR got to the Node 17, and I saw my name. I would say I was about to print it and put it in a board, like a huge board on my wall, because it was so amazing. Yeah, I really like it. This is really, really nice. But you know, right, when we are working with programming in general, you know that's not that easy, right, sometimes. And suddenly, the PR was closed, and someone just made this question. Oh, well, you fixed it on 17, but the current version is 14. Will this be fixed in 14? I was like, oh, my God. Yeah, I should try doing. And they said, oh, we are a community. You should go there, try to backport. Basically, copy-paste the code to run on the branch on the 14 version. I was like, no way, I'm going to do this, right? I did it there, and I'm going to do it again. So here, I did the same idea. I did the backport there, copy-paste. And now, I thought this was way better, because when it was approved, on a backport, you have like less contributions. Like it feels like, I'm doing something that is not much people doing, right? So it was there. Again, it was really a feeling of accomplishment, right? Because, you know, millions of people, Google, Microsoft, every big company has something working with Node.js, React, or everything, and now your name has been written there. Even though it wasn't something that hard, right? When you look to this solution, you said, no, anyone could do this. But to go through the whole process and to figure out the solution, this is something that we developers, we face every day, right? So working on open source or for companies, that is not that different. The difference is actually task management, right? This is the hardest part. Well, all of this talk is about Node.js and community. I'm not here to say, nah, I'm good. I just fixed something in Node.js. No, everyone could do this, right? But when we try to face new challenges and when we figure that people have the same struggle that we have, this is something that changes everything, right? We were talking, right? I flew from Brazil, 30 hours from there, and now I feel home. Like I see people that has the same struggles I have, and this is really amazing for everything. And actually, for me, like for all places I've been, it's exactly like a family, right? So this is really, really nice. Well, because of these things, trying to help a lot, I finally got a nomination on the Node.js. So I was actually contributing without anything there, like any one of you could do there. But now I could like review pull requests, I could like attend meetings, trying to join some working groups. Like I joined now the working group of the Node.js tooling group to work on CLIs and a lot of stuff there. And you are getting even more deeper, right? And learning a lot of from a lot of people. And this is funny because the people that usually you idolize, right? They have actually the same questions. Like, what is not working here? I was like, I have no idea. Let's try fixing it, and let's try searching together so we can find everything, okay? Well, I've been doing a lot of content about Node.js on my channel as well. So actually, mad science, right? So I implemented the WebSocket from scratch, and I learned a lot of stuff. So as I'm saying, when you challenge yourself, when something totally out of your comfort zone, this helps a lot to get other context. and even to make more money, right? This is why we're here, right? To switch jobs or to make even more money on our jobs. Well, I actually built a whole textbook. It's like a step-by-step how I solve the problem. So if you are curious, you can actually get the Node.js branch for there and do every step I did until you reach the same result I did. I think this is a good experiment for you who is curious, or if you have any other idea of how you could implement it, right? Nice. Well, I'm a full-time content producer, so I'm releasing a training course right now about Node.js Stream, so the most powerful tool there. So I'm gonna leave a link at the end if you are gonna pre-register, but this will be crazy. And all the content I've been doing, it's already on my website. So everything is there. If you wanna take a look later, study more, right? Try to find more topics to research about, you can go further there and get the things. All right? Well, before I finish this talk, I will leave some 5 seconds for you to take a picture, to get the slides, because, you know, right, this takes a long time to build it. And why you take pictures? Well, I have 5 minutes, so let's take a selfie, right? Oh, let's make some noise. Woohoo! Well, on 3, we make some noise, all right? And we jump the arms to the air, okay? So, 1, 2, 3. Aye! Woohoo! I really enjoyed this, all right? Thank you so much for having me.